So good evening. Welcome to the first Great Presenters program of our 2023 season. Tonight, we're excited to have Steve Robb here to talk to us about his song creating process. Steve's been part of the MetroWest music scene since 2021.
No,
I think
yeah,
earlier. That's
2001.
2001. That's a typo. Sorry. 2001. I thought he was a founding member of the bands Midlife Crisis, Working Still, and Cabin Fever. He started the infamous open mic at the Dudley Chateau and has hosted open mics at Sandy Burr and the Music Exchange listening room at the W Gallery. Steve instigated the Wayland City Limits benefit concerts, and in 2021, I think, he released his original self-produced full-length album, Cabin Fever. Steve also hosts a podcast called Song Creating, which is available on most streaming platforms. Thank you so much to Steve for being here tonight. A couple of the regular housekeeping notes. I'm recording this session for possible broadcast on Waycam and for the library's YouTube page, so you'll be able to rewatch and share. And Steve is open to questions at any point, so raise your hand. If you're joining us via Zoom, just type your question in the chat and I will raise my hand for you. So now I'll get out of the way, hand it over.
Okay, good. Thank you, Courtney. Thanks everybody for coming. I don't know if you're all going to be able to see the screen from here. You don't want to. Okay. I started with this one. We're going to talk about a lot of things, but primarily focus on 4 songs and what went into those. This is a 5th song, and I put this up here only because it's the song about songwriting that I wrote. I'll give you some idea of what goes on. I sat there with my guitar playing a little lick, and that we tend to do as we're just noodling around. And it was just this. And that was really primarily it. And I opened up my book. I have my little songbook over here. And I said, well, maybe I can start writing something. So I've got this book that a lot of us have, which just kind of just scribbles and things. It's different than working on a computer. You get to see, you can't delete and never lose it. So you've always got it here. And I looked at this and I said, well, here I am with this blank page in front of me. So this all started. And it really just kind of came from that. And so this song ended up becoming about the latency. There are things that exist on the paper that you have to draw out, just like in photography. You've got to bring out that image needs developing, so it doesn't just appear. So this is you can. I'll reference my first album called Cabin Fever. You can get it on Spotify. You can listen to it anytime. We were just listening to it here. So if you want to hear anything from that, you can just easily listen to that if you have Spotify. Let's see. So what I wanted to mention was this is not a lesson in songwriting at all. That would take way too much time. But it's really just kind of a reveal into what this songwriter does. Other songwriters do different things, but through my podcast, I've talked to a lot of songwriters, and I find that there's actually a fair amount of consistency with what we do. Now, and the songwriters that I'm talking about are primarily ones like me who write lyrics, who write chords, who aren't, writing instrumental jazz, fusion or anything like that. So that's primarily what we're focusing on. Is you can call it folk, you can call it acoustic pop, you can call it anything like that. But what songwriters tend to be, what I've learned is that we really are, and I'm totally guilty of this. We're empaths. We really feel what other people are feeling. We're lovers and we're haters, and we're observers, and we're translators, and we're sometimes historians or more communicators. But really, what we are, you won't find a stoic songwriter out there, because you really have to feel. You have to bring it in and you have to put it out. So you have to be comfortable with your vulnerabilities too. So what makes up a song? Anybody? Courtney? Okay, I know you're nervous. Primarily, what makes up a song is music. and words, and those two things. And we kind of call it lyrics when we're talking about songs. But what also makes up a song is mood and message, and a lot of times what they call a hook. And a hook is a really undefined thing that people tend to try to put into their songs. I don't know if I have hooks in mind, maybe some of them do, but it's something that kind of grabs you. It's a little change sometimes that happens, and I could probably give a couple examples of that. And then you've got the compositional parts of the song. You've generally got the intro, you've got, conventionally, you've got the intro, you've got a couple verses, you've got a chorus. You may have another verse, and then you have something called a bridge. And a bridge is something different from the verse, different from the chorus. And it's almost more an interlude than it is a bridge, but it just changes. It gives you a third dimension of the song, just to add some variety to it. Make it a little bit more, just keep the listener tuned into it. Let's see. So, what kinds of songs are there out there? And if I have a thought, what do we got? We got love songs, right?
Folk song.
We have hate songs, maybe a couple. We've got story songs, and those you could also call ballads. I kind of like. I think there's a difference. I like story songs, and they really tell, start to finish. Ballads are still work with them. We've got emotive songs, we've got happy songs, optimistic songs, we've got protest songs, songs of social commentary. We've got blues, which is sad songs. That not always, but they tend to be. So again, feel free to raise your hand. What starts this whole process? This is what it's all about. What starts this whole process? And there are songwriters out there who, in fact, it tends to be the question I ask the most on the podcast, and people now who I'm interviewing say, I knew you're going to ask this, so I'm going to tell you. I start with the music first. So what does that mean? As opposed to the lyrics first. So there are some songwriters who spend 10 minutes every morning just writing in the book. And it's an exercise in writing. Free writing, as they call it, is really, it's like a skill that you have to develop. You have to write about anything at all that comes into your head. And I've done this. I don't do it on a regular basis, but when I have done it, you sometimes find, oh, there's actually a little something that comes, a little thought, a little thing that piques your interest. I've got a file in my texts on my notes here that it's called songwriting, and I've got all of these. These are all little things that I've scribbled on my phone of song thoughts. And every now and then I just go back to this and find something and say, oh, this might be something that's neat. Or in this book that I showed, something that I started that I never completed. But some writers will they'll just spend time writing, or they're poets, and they start with the writing, and then they will put the music to that. Or sometimes there's a songwriting team like Elton John and Bernie Taupin. Bernie Taupin wrote all the lyrics. Elton John then started adding music to it. Some people do that as a team. Other people just do it as themselves. I tend to be more of a music first person, like this song, where I have something, and I'm really proud of when I don't do it that way. And we'll come up with one of those songs where I actually do write the words first, because it's really fun. And then what that does is it gives you this whole variety of how do I want now to address that? How do I want to treat these lyrics? In what form, what fashion, what type of music? How is it going to be? So for me, though, it's usually writing words first, or writing music first, and then you get a feel for, okay, so how does this sound? What's the? Sometimes it just takes on a mood, and there's something about it that just makes you feel a certain way, and so you can start writing about that. Let's see. A lot of times, well, sometimes you just need to get over that hump, that idea. There's a songwriter named Susan Catania who lives locally here. She used to teach at Berkeley, and in fact, she'll be at our songwriting song creating show at Folks Theater on February 10th or 11th. Go to archwayland.com for that. But she's a terrific songwriter and a teacher, and she goes to the Benjamin Moore paint swatches and pulls out all these paint swatches. And the paint, the names. It's like fingernail polish. They come up with woven tapestry, or some kind of word and something. And the challenge she does with the class is now write a song about that. That's your focus. So sometimes people will write from a title, and I'll get to that with one song too. Just a word or a title, and you write from that. And so you need a spark, and you need something to get you started. I like to do with the music. I like that, but then you kind of figure out something, and everybody knows. Oh, not everybody. You may know the story about yesterday and what happened with that, how that started. It was Paul McCartney had that, and he called it scrambled eggs because scrambled eggs had the syllabic pattern that fit his song. Da da da. Yesterday, scrambled eggs. He eventually made it yesterday. So that's a great story, and it's not uncommon that you just start writing things just to get a feel for how is this coming rolling off my tongue as I'm singing this to myself. Lyrics though are a really integral part of the song, because what they do is they just tell you what the song is about. The music is like a supporting cast in a way. When you've got the lyrics, that's the actor that's really is really the star of the song. So there's when you're writing lyrics, you tend to think there's a lot to think about, and a lot of revision going on. And so I can go on with this one. No, let's go on. I want to talk about 4 songs primarily. We'll jump off of this one, so we don't go too long here. But lyrics are funny, and they are funny. They can be funny. They can be sad. They can be everything. What they need to also be is interesting. They've got to go together well. They have to say what you want to say. And what I find sometimes, I will sit there, I know there's a word, I know there's a way to express this feeling that I'm inserting into the song, and I want to feel it back. And it's a wistfulness. So let's say I want some wistful feeling. I'm trying to get it back. So you really do search. You write down a lot of different things, looking for that. They need to make some sense. Not always. Everybody know the song "I Am a Walrus" by the Beatles. Okay, silly. I am he is you, or he is you or me, and we are all together. Which actually I think is a brilliant lyric, which does make sense. Anyway, we don't need to go into John Lennon's lyrics, but he wrote that song specifically to not make sense, and see if the Beatles actually could write a very popular song that made absolutely no sense. It was like a joke song, and of course, it did become a famous song. There's also, I find some of these can be kind of trite and cheesy, and actually in some very famous songs. And I try to avoid this, but here's a lyric: "When the sun refuses to shine, I will still be loving you." I mean, yeah, Led Zeppelin, very famous song. "I don't know where I'm going, but I know where I've been." I mean, I think I could have written that in 8th grade when I was a troubadour. That was a very famous song from a metal band, but it was for metalheads, very, very famous song by Whitesnake, I think the band was. So there's also alliteration in lyric writing. Crosby, Stills, Nash, maybe and Young. helplessly hoping. Everybody remember that song? Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby. What the hell is a harlequin hovering? Wordlessly watching, he waits by the window and wonders. You know, so there's a pattern that catches people. So alliteration is just another tool that people will use, writers will use to, for whatever reason, it either sounds good or it gives them a guideline. If he wants to do that, I've got to come up with all these H words. So now let's just come up with something. And it doesn't always make perfect sense, but it sounds good. And that's the thing that's really important, is ultimately how it sounds. So the message should be there, but you really need to make something that sounds right. So a lot of times words can go together. I write a lot of songs that don't really go anywhere, but they just are, they just sound right together. The words sound right. I mean, it's just a love song. It makes no real sense except that it's just a love song. Let's see. So if I'm talking too fast, tell me to slow down. I'm trying to capture a lot. Yes, sir.
Quick question. Early on, you mentioned the phrase "the hook." Or
Yes.
A hook. Can you talk about a hook? What do you mean by that?
No, because it's really hard to put that into words. But I can tell you, one person who writes a really good hook is Sheryl Crow, and I think the last song I'll talk about tonight, I think may have one, because what I did is I changed, when I went to the bridge, I changed, it almost was a key change. It wasn't really, but it felt that way. And hooks are usually musical. I don't think lyrics will make a hook. It's the way the song goes. So if a song is in G, you may go to B flat. You know, you might try something different, and it's just something that catches your ear. Grateful Dead was also great at hooks. You decipher Grateful Dead music. It's fascinating music. It's the best I can do. You kind of know when you hear it. That's the thing. That's really, I think that's ultimately it. All right. So we talked about the syllabic pattern. There's also the rhyme scheme and how you want some words to rhyme. So this one I've got, rhymes on the second and the fourth line rhyme and the sixth line. But the seventh line here doesn't rhyme with anything, but it doesn't have to. Well, it actually does. It rhymes down here. So this song goes, of a blank sheet of paper, its whiteness glows, a painter's empty canvas, a field of new snow, putting pen to paper, the ink doesn't flow. What is it that I really feel? Can I choose the right words to reveal it in a song? So that's how that goes. So there's a pattern to that. And you don't always have to rhyme. And rhyming doesn't always have to be perfect rhymes either. They can be, there's a website called rhymezone.com. I go to it all the time. And you type in a word, type in paper, and it'll come up with all these rhymes to paper. And then you click on near rhymes, because I didn't find anything in rhymes that really worked for me. So near rhymes. So now you've got, you've got rhymes, something that sounds like paper but isn't quite paper. So rhymezone.com, if you're a aspiring songwriter or a poet, or a lyricist, is a great website. So let's talk about some songs and how they developed without going through the entire song. I just picked 4 out of my collection here that I was reasonably familiar with. So, anybody a guitar player here? Okay, then I started playing this, and wrong song. I've written 2 songs very similar to this. So I was walking my dog with my wife at Herd Farm, and this song was in my head, and it was late November, I think. It's really rustic. Anybody know Herd Farm? It's all dry grass, and the sun was low, and it was one of those gray days, and it was really pretty out there in a northern New England day in December. And we also just seen the WGBH, who's the Irish, the Gaelic or the Celtic Christmas, Brian O'Donovan's Celtic Christmas. And I was really feeling, we've been to Ireland recently, and I was really feeling this whole Northern Ireland kind of feel to it, and how you tend to spend more time inside. You get all nice and cozy in your place. You've got the fire going. You've got the sun only is dripping down, and so this song had that kind of acoustic-y feel to it to me, and it ended up developing into oh, can you go to Yuletide after that? Mm-hmm. Thank you. So yeah, system. The rains of late November have given way to snow. The covers fields where, now I was thinking I got to be Irish here. Barley grows. Okay, we're not growing wheat or anything. The sun, let's see, you got those up? Okay, so my chords are here too, but disregard those. Can you scroll up? Go ahead and bar it up, come down. The sun recalls a fading fire as it settles low. So now we're starting to get a little more flowery on the southwestern horizon. So we've got snow grow low. We don't need another low, another O rhyme here. So on the southwestern horizon. So just let that go. And then I started getting, I was thinking, okay, so this is kind of liking where this is going. I really love Christmas time, and I love my wife, and I wanted to write a romantic song. So this kind of became that, and what I wanted to picture was the two of us in front of a fire on Christmas Eve, the dark night. So your soft hand warms mine in my heart, the whiff of spices from the mud, balsam on the hearth. Okay, so we're really getting flowery here, and we're really romantic and maybe overly sappy, but candles of cranberry colors and scented pine, and then light the room. Let's see, light the room, light the room as dusk dissolves the day. And then I wanted to go to another chord. This may be the hook. I'm not sure. You never know. And I could go to as a cold winter blues come to stay. So I could repeat that same chord, but instead I went to this as a cold winter blues comes to stay. And I love the difference between that A7 to a G to instead it's a. It is a beautiful chord. So that's all part of this whole thing where, and it happened a lot. It took a lot more time than what I'm talking about here. And then Hearts Warmed by Firelight, We Await the Night's Reflect. I've changed the lyrics here so many times. I thought it'd be fun to reference like the Northern Lights, so what about this song then? So what happened with this song was that I started with a lick, and I started with a feeling that I wanted to have, and I started with an emotion that I wanted to have, and I just started picturing it, and that's a lot of it. You just sit there and you let it develop, you let it fester in your head. So where's it going? And the songs sit in my head, and my wife's going, "What are you thinking?" I'm not listening to her. Why? Because I kind of have some song in my head that I'm working on. So this ended up becoming, let's see, a long night gives us time to ponder where we've been through this year, coming to end on Christmas Eve with my best friend. So, you know, I throw a little hint of romance in there. You know, love's embers uncontrolled. I got celebrate the long nights dark and with the Yuletide afterglow. Let's see. Oh, so you actually see my Northern Lights note there is like a little, I insert that in to remind me that I actually was thinking of Northern Lights, but I changed it to Festive Lights. Anyway, so that's sort of the process here on this one. This will be in my next album. Let's see. Yeah, so that's kind of it. So it was, this one was a music first song, and the feel of it. And then it was also, you know, what inspired it was just my environment that I'm in. You know, they say write about what you know, write about what you're feeling. And at that time, you know, it was that time of year, and we were just all those elements came into place. Yes.
I'm sort of interested in the process that you're developing. Do you work on only one song at a time, or
No.
do you do multiple songs?
Well, right now I'm not working on any, because I'm in maybe one. I'm in kind of a lull. But no, there are a lot of unfinished songs that I may go back to. So you work on one, but I tend to be kind of goal driven. So I do mostly work on one, but not always.
When you work on one, take this one. What's the time frame that you spend on, say, this song? Is it 2 days?
It could be different. Oh no.
2 weeks or a month?
Yeah, 2 weeks or a month. But you know, it's just like it's in dribs and drabs. You know, it's not like it's not an 8-hour a day job for me. It's it's work on it at when I want to. I'm just doing this for fun. It's not a job. So I mean, there are songwriters who do this professionally, as you might know. You know, they go to Nashville, get in a room. They're always co-writing in Nashville. They get in a room. There are 4 people, and they say, "All right, what are we coming up with?" And they come up with a song, and maybe 2 or 3 in the morning that they're working together. You know, they're very focused and very goal driven. And I am goal driven. When I start a song, I tend to want to write it to the end. So I've got all that, but then it still evolves and gets revised. So anyway, to answer your question, no. In fact, you could probably say I've got 100 songs in the process, because all of the ones I've written still may evolve.
I was going to ask, do you find a spot where you say, "Okay, I'm done"?
Yeah, there is a point. You just get sick of singing it to yourself. Sick of it. And then, you know, then you might come back to it. I mean, actually, this one I wrote 3 years ago, and I'm still working on it now, because I just revised the lyrics. I started recording it and realizing what I wanted to add to it in the recording. And so I'm back to it. But I wrote this one originally a few years ago. Okay, can you go to Error of My Ways? So totally different song. Okay, and different experience. Oh, that profile. This song is called Error of My Ways.
I don't know if we have that one.
Oh yeah. Oh, actually, it's not called that. It's called You're So Wrong for Me.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't figured out the name of the song yet. So.
I'm gonna make it bigger.
Wow, yeah, please. So Kim and I are driving back from our daughter's college, and I think I watched the show Nashville. To be honest, I don't think I came up with the first line. I think it was I had heard it, and I thought, oh, this is great. So you're the trouble that I shouldn't get into. You're the mistake that I better not make. And I heard that, and I was actually at a songwriting retreat, and they said, put your ideas on the wall. It's all share ideas. And I put those 2 lines up, and then an hour later, I walked by and I took them down. I said, I'm keeping that. So we're driving back, and I said, Kim, pull out your phone. You got to start writing this stuff down. You remember this? And we had more fun doing this. So I don't know if you can read all this. You're the trouble I shouldn't get into. You're the mistake that I better not make. You're the bad influence. You're the bad influence I shouldn't drift to. You're the exit ramp I shouldn't take. So let's talk about metaphors, which I didn't bring up. Metaphors are huge in songwriting. And this one is metaphor out of control. It's obvious metaphor. Metaphors can be really, yeah, I think if we went back to Yuletide, not to say do that, I could probably pull out a metaphor there, but we'll pull it out of something else too. This is an obvious metaphor song, and it was more fun to write. You're the oak tree I shouldn't climb on. You're the river that I shouldn't cross. You're the new food I shouldn't dine on. Every moment with you comes at a cost. And then we'll get to that next part later. So I kept writing these down. You're the wrong road that I shouldn't travel. You're the dark path that I shouldn't take. You're the mystery I shouldn't unravel. You're the brownies that I shouldn't bake. I mean, I loved it. We had more fun doing this. So then I brought this home, and there's more to it. And I said, all right, what's this song going to be? How is this song going to come out? Is it going to be a, like a classic folky song? I don't know, we'll work something. You're the road map, you're that wrong direction. You're the wolf dressed up like a sheep. Or is it going to be a jazzy tune? What's it going to be? And I tried a bunch of different things. And let's see. You're the wildfire I don't want to extinguish. You're the rough seas I want to sail. Fa la la la, this is so boring for the sun. So it just didn't fit right for me. So then I thought, I really love the blues, so let's have a little fun. You're the Wi-Fi I don't want to extinguish. You're the rough seas that I want to sail. I thought, oh, that sounds kind of neat. Maybe that's where I'm going to go. But then I got thinking, well, I think there's something better here. So I started. You're the rough sea. So now I'm starting on the what we call the four. I'm starting on the not the main chord. This would be E blues. I'm starting now in A. You're the rough sea that I want to sail. Sometimes I find it hard to distinguish whether you're my heaven or hell. So then I got it. I said, this is what I want to hear. This is what sounds right for me, and it's fun to play. And I got, oh, okay. So now I've got all these verses. I've got to put something else in here, and so that's when I said, what am I trying to? What is it about this song? I mean, I can't just keep insulting this woman. There's got to be. We've got to come back around. Because, ultimately, why would I be singing to her if I didn't want to see her? So, but I love you. I can't get enough of you. You're the error of my ways. You're so wrong for me. You're the match that lights my blaze. Come set some fires with me. Then I had it, and that was it. Blues tunes rarely have bridges. Straightforward blues tunes. In fact, if you listen to classic blues, they only write 3/4 of the lyrics everyone else writes, because their second verse is the same lyric as the first. The second line is the same line as the first line. If you listen to it, what's a good blues song? No. Let's come up with it. Hey, baby, what you doing tonight? Hey, baby, what you doing tonight? Right? Sound familiar? That's what they always do. It's kind of a joke with the rest of us that blues tends to, first line is, you always know what the second line is because it's the same as the first line. But I wanted to avoid that. So if you go to my website, which you saw, steverobb.com, there's a link to a video I did with this song. And it's actually a lot of fun. It's really pretty silly. So that's a song that started with the lyrics and then developed onto that. There are some other songs that I've started with lyrics that were a little bit more floral, a little more, romantic or pleasant. I can't think of one offhand now. Actually, I do. Happiness Comes in Waves. Right. We won't get into that one too much, but Happiness Comes in Waves. I saw it on a pillow on a beach town in Florida. I said, "Oh, that's kind of cute." And then I said, that's gonna be the title of the song. And then as I started writing it, I said, well, what kind of waves are they talking about? My first instinct was, oh, it's waves, washing on the beach, the sound of waves on. Well, what about waves? This makes people happy. And what about beautiful flowing hair? That makes some people happy. And so the song ended up becoming around that. And that just started, it's easy when you're in Florida. The tide is rising, the sun descends below the edge of the sea. That's the way the song starts out. Music is a salve, all wounds it mends. The surf is calling me. So that became Happiness Comes in Waves. So mostly that was written before the music came, I think. Maybe a little bit of at the same time, which is actually, I should say, is actually very common. So people will sit down and do both things at the same time. Let's go to Stranded. Now, Stranded is kind of fun.
Does it have another name?
Pardon me?
Does it have another name?
I'm sorry, Sandy?
Oh, Stranded. I see it. Sorry.
Oh,
There we go.
Stranded. Okay. I have to find this is a ukulele tune. What you may notice is that if you listen to enough of my songs, you'll realize that this guy really does not focus on one thing. So this is kind of a beach tune. Where is that? Let's see if I can. So I was listening to a Fresh Air interview with a music producer who lived in Jamaica, and I think he produced Jimmy Cliff and some of those Jamaican, start of reggae. And somehow the word stranded came up. And I don't remember what the context was, except I thought, that's a word I don't hear very much. And I am writing a lot of tunes about the ocean. In fact, my second CD, which is over there, is all island, I call it island vibe music that we wrote. It's actually recorded it on Dudley Pond last summer at a concert we gave there. And then there's 3 other songs that are done in the studio with that. Stranded's one of them. But with all the blues and all the folky stuff, I just love writing upbeat, happy, beachy tunes. That's not the song. There we are. I may get the chords wrong here because I don't play this one. So I had the word stranded in my head, and I wanted to figure out something. So this starts like a lot of my beach tunes. Set the stage, which a lot of songs are actually. Set the stage. Tell us where you are. Tell the listener where you are. Tell the listener, what might be happening or what's around you. It's 5 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd rushes in. You already know where you are. You're, and talking about Piano Man, right? So this, I think. I'm not sure what the iterations of this were, but it became nothing out there on the sea. Oh, let's see, what rhymes with sea? And I may have gone to Rhyme Zone, I don't know, I saw debris. Just endless waves and some debris. What's going on in this song? Sometimes the song writes itself. This should be lying ragged, gasping on the sand, thanking the stars for this island. Now I'm stranded here with you. All right, this line here, there's only so much that we can do. This is on the CD, it's already done, it's there. I woke up a week ago, middle of the night going, what a stupid line. I could have done so much better than that. And I think that was my scrambled eggs line. You know, I filled it in and I never changed it. And it just became a part of the song. And I said, you know, so I've changed it. Now I'm stranded here with you, surrounded by the ocean blue. I mean, what a nicer line than there's only so much that we can do. So what's fun about this song, what makes me chuckle about this song, let's go down. Let's see. So we come to the sun beats down mercifully, but we have the shade of a palm tree. There's coconuts galore, but no rum. This island life is not so fun. Now I'm stranded here with you. What are two castaways in love to do? Now we're in love. All right. So now, you know, it's not me and somebody else on the shipwreck, me and my lover. I said, okay, what are two castaways in love to do? You've got palm trees, you've got coconuts, you've got a beautiful beach, you've got the ocean. What are you gonna do? But scrutinize. So that gets a lot of trouble. But I had to put it in because it's so perfect. So but scrutinize the situation, make the most of where we are. So now I'm starting to think, okay, all of a sudden, and I think this next line, sometimes they just kind of come. We have no guns on our island nation. We make love, not war. Oh, no. So now we're on this island. We've got our own little island nation. We have no guns. So then we've got a little whistle interlude here, and then we're back to the verse. Oh, look, is that a plane? Well, do we really want to see this plane? So you put yourself into this place. You know, close your eyes. Put myself into this place. I am, you know, with this beautiful lover on this beach. Do we really want to leave? What are we going to do with that plane? We're going to be like Gilligan's Island, you know, light a fire and everything. Maybe we just want to stay put. And so that's where this came. So that look, hooray, it's waving its wings, but that means we're going home. Let's hide and hope it keeps on going. You'll notice there isn't a single rhyme in that. Okay, because it doesn't need to be. I'm stranded here with you, or have we already been rescued? Well, you can read this for yourself. From the world's unsettled mess, let's remain on this island nest. Now I'm stranded here with you. What are two castaways in love to do? And then on the song I go, do. Let anybody else, you know, think what they want with those last two syllables, maybe. So this song started from a title. Or a word. And another exercise that songwriters will do, they'll teach in courses, is you write down, you take 5 minutes and write down all these titles. And, you know, it might be, big black chair, I'm just looking around, you know, big comfy couch, you know, books on tape, whatever. You know, you just write all these things out. And you pick one of those, and you go, okay, so maybe there's something, or the more you write, the more you end up with fuel for your fire. The more you think about these things. And titles is just one more tool that people do to try to start something. And you know, that's if you haven't got an experience, you know, it's just one more way to do it. So let's see, we've talked about 3 songs here. We've got time for one more, which is good because I have one more. And then we can, you know, see where we go from here. So what's that last song? So Close, right?
So Close, or You're So Wrong for Me.
No, we already did You're So Wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, go to So
Close.
Close. All right. So I started this one last winter down in Florida. And again, I wanted to write a nautical song. I didn't really want to write a happy beach song. And I shouldn't really say that. I think that's wrong. I probably started playing this and I said, well, that would make a nice, well, I'm 50 steps from the water in Florida. Everything's a kind of a, you know, that's what you think about down there. And so so close. Let's be in here some. So it is. Yeah. That's right. This is a classic, you know, Bob Dylan wrote 50 songs with this chord pattern. So now you're just sitting here with this, sitting here. And this is what you do. You play it. She's in the other room going, again. And again, then, you know, I'm thinking music, or I'm thinking of the ocean and everything. So the waves grow restless as we approach the coast. And the journey's in. What kind of journey is it going to be now? Is it just did I just sail across the bay, or did I sail across the ocean? What time? Where am I here? And what century am I in? Am I on a whaling ship? What am I on? And I'm probably thinking at the time I wasn't really sure, but I was just going to kind of let this go and see where it went. We're on the Gulf Coast, so we see sunsets all the time. They're just epic. And so I thought of that. How many sunsets could I love the most as the light breezes have? So again, you write about what you know, things that are really, you know, experienced. I get thinking, okay, so now he's back. And now, okay, so he or she, this has been an epic journey, okay, across the ocean. How many sunsets could I love the most? Sometimes you have to, if you put words in and you like them, now you have to react to it. So I could have put something else in there going, I don't even have to talk, may not even have brought up sunsets. How many women could I have loved the most? That's going to change the arc of this song in the course of that whole sailing adventure. But I didn't even think about that. So your lips touch softly upon my cheek, a tear falls from your eye. The winds are shifting, and I'm thinking, he's home now, but boy, I love this last line, or this line, but I must sing the seafarer's goodbye. I mean, when I said that to myself, seafarer, that's a great word. I mean, that conjures up. First off, it puts us in a different century. And now it's really setting the stage for what's coming here and what the song is about. And I have to say, I really didn't know where the song was going. But I don't know how this happened, but it did. And I think I probably started like all the sailors who sail the seas. Well, you can't use that. You know, that's boring. So let's like all the first mates who sail the seas. No, that's not going to work. Like all the dreamers who sail the seas. It really started developing from there, and I started getting a sense that this song is going to take on a new dimension, and let's just let it do that. And all the lovers on bended knee, for the wish you want granted most, you've come so far, you are so close. So now it started out, and I think if someone were to break this, like if I were to submit this, you know, to my teacher, she might say, "What, your context is all off." I don't care. they may say, well, you went from here to here. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's just brought me in. And I think that's really important too in terms of songwriting. Someone's always gonna have something to say about yourself, about your lyric, about your chord choice, about something. And you just have to dismiss that. I shouldn't say that. It's often good advice. In fact, I just went through a process with a song using metaphors about a girlfriend, and it's really a lot of fun. But I sent it to a friend who forwarded it to a female friend of hers, and she thought it was really inappropriate. So I altered it a lot. So it was really good to get that advice. Sometimes you do need to get that. It's a fun song. We might go into that. This song just went where I wanted it to go. And in the chords and the way I felt I was strumming it is a very, how's it go? Like all the dreamers who sail the seas. And there's just this smooth, and it kind of made me think of God, I don't know. I don't want to equate it with something really masterful composition, but it just had this feel to it to me. I've since recorded this with a guy named Jim Medvedev playing grand piano. The grand piano we used to have in the W Gallery, and Steve Lavin's playing cello. And I don't know if you know Steve Lavin. He's a professional cellist, plays all over the world. And it gave it that gravitas that I wanted it to have. Let's see, where are we? Can we bring this up? So because I've got two what we call refrains back to back here, there's actually an instrumental verse between these in fact, that top part there is really the only time you hear a lyric in that chord pattern, that verse. So then we go to the refrain, like all the dreamers who sail the seas, and then back to and I think what I think is important about to mention in this one is the second line goes. The first line it went. So there's a difference between the two of those. And when you add that D to a C chord, it opens it up. It really changes the sound of a chord versus this chord is an A minor 7. It's a different sound. Very similar chord. All the notes are the same except one. So that's the difference in that verse and the two lines here. So, or not here. So to all the farmers with withered hand, all the migrants on foreign lands, to all whose future relies on hope. We've come so far, you are so close. Now I'm thinking, okay, so this is really going out to people who are really searching for something. And here's where I think I might have a hook. All right. Let's see. So let me just get that. You've come so far, you are so close. For all the painters who, and I think going to that B flat. For all the painters who know not when to lay the brushes down, and the songwriter nearing the end, searching for that final sound. And now Jim, the keyboards goes to reach it. And now I want to bring the song home. And can you bring that up? To reach an ending, one must begin. And I love the second line, to find salvation, one first must sin. Except I think it really should be one first one must sin, because that first must is a really tricky thing to say. But this is just what I wanted the song to say, is if you're gonna reach for something, keep reaching. You may not get there, you're so close, just keep going. To every seeker through the unknown, you've come so far, you're so close. To every dream, and then so here's a tag now. Okay, this you got to bring a song home, and we haven't really talked about endings on the songs, but it's in this case it's really just another repeat of that last line. I know sometimes when I hear a song and I go, okay, they've repeated that line again. That means it's finally over, and that's the case here. So with every dream that you want the most. You've come so far, you are so close. And we stop right there and just look at the report.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a farmer's daughter. You got a line in there about farmers.
Yes,
They work all the time.
of course they do.
I mean,
Did I address that well?
well, I guess my problem with it is that I
Can you
don't,
scroll up to the,
I'm right there,
yes,
to all the farmers with weathered hand. I mean, they work so much, I don't know if they'd have time to think about the future. I mean, they're on the land and it's really hard. It's hard. So when I saw that somehow the farmers don't fit with the rest of them.
okay, thank you. It's all right. But I really like that theory.
You know, like,
Okay, who else has a weathered hand? Let's see. Oh,
well, the weathered hand, yes.
yeah.
There's gotta be another.
Okay. Keep thinking about that. Okay. No, thank you for that. This is good. And you know, I don't often submit my lyrics to other people who I know are going to be critical. And it's a good thing to do, and I should do that more. Although I don't know if I would have had a farmer in the circle I would have sent them to. And we do have songwriting get-togethers. I just started another one on Zoom with some people. And as long as you have, I've been to some of these where nobody wants to criticize. They're all, oh, it's a great song. You know, no, that's the wrong attitude. Tell us what's working and what's not, so that we know where to go. It really helps a lot to get other opinions, because you know a lot of people will just say, if you're not a co-writer, like me, I'm just writing on my own. You really get caught up in it, you get locked into it, you end up loving it. These are like my children, you know. I mean, they really are, and they, you know, well, it's a mistake I make, and it's a mistake a lot of people make of not really letting them be critiqued enough. So something to work on. Yes.
That's a really good point. I think you have to have someone you trust who gets the essence of your song.
Yep.
And can help you work through the lyrics.
Yeah.
You know,
I think I've had good results with playing them for people around here. In that, well, nobody's ever really critical, and I think occasionally, I mean, they might be critical about other aspects of my performance, but if they accept it and I know they like it, then that sometimes is good enough. But it is worth doing. The girlfriend song, I guess I should probably bring it up because I mentioned it. It's really kind of fun. I don't know, Kim, do you think it's too racy or not? It's not racy. It's just it's a song that I started okay, so I woke up one morning, I came downstairs, I said to Kim, I woke up with this phrase, girlfriend made of cement, in my head. Why? And this happens to me, that I end up dreaming songs and waking up to these phrases. And I ended up writing, this was a lyrics first song. I have a girlfriend made of cement. Yeah, oh, believe me, this verse didn't stay, okay? but her strong foundations led to many arguments. It went on from there, and I thought, well, this could be really kind of fun as long as I'm making it fun. So at the risk of well, then I added some really good pots. I mean, some that's not really good one, and that ended up going. I love my girlfriend. She's made of fresh air. When I look, I can't always see her there, but I can sense the freshness of her breeze as she weaves her way through the evergreens. I love my girlfriend. She's made of fresh air. My best girl is like my favorite blue jeans. She fits me perfectly and so comfortably. Her love may be fading, so I'm trying to put in all these. This is another metaphor song, so I'm trying to add all these things. Her love may be fading, but I'll never upgrade because I know I'll never find another so tailor-made. My best girl is like my favorite blue jeans. So I'm sorry if this insults anybody on Zoom. I'm sorry. I don't think it qualifies as objectifying because that's really not what the definition of that is. But it went on like that, and it was a lot of fun to write. So I kept coming up with other things, and so now I've edited it down. I've probably got about half the verses that I wrote that are and smooth things out a little bit too. But I should run that by more females too, just to make sure it's okay. All right. I don't know. Let's see. I think I've gone through my 4 songs here, and I don't want to make this any longer than it needs to be. Well, let me. I'm going to run. I could just run by a couple of things here, what I may have indicated this already indirectly. A lot of times that opening line is what starts the song, and there's not always that opening line doesn't always come consciously. It doesn't come on purpose. It doesn't come like in this one. I felt like I had that. I wanted to write that song about the ocean, but a lot of times they just sort of come out, and so a couple of. I had this ready. Audrey, and this came right out. Audrey slips away without a sound. Let's see. I can't remember. Leaving her bed made and her trophies on the shelf. I'm writing a song about a runaway, and I didn't even know it. And then his mom and dad left lying in the dark. In their dreams, she was the one that gave them so much pride. This whole song about suburban girl runaway, and it came from that first line. Now it developed slowly. Actually, it developed in a day. I was at Marco's when I played that for a couple of people who related to it. I won't say who, but these things happen. When you get that first line, things can really go from there. One time I was at the gym, and a guy walked by me, a Caribbean gentleman, had this waft of coconut. He must have put coconut in it. And I went, oh, it just drives me nuts in a good way. When I smell coconut, it really drives me nuts. And it became a whole song about coconuts, about the beach. So anyway, these things just happen. A lot of, I could go into metaphors. Anyway, that's enough. Enough talk from me. Anybody else, questions or thoughts or critique?
I love your poetry.
Pardon me?
I love your poetry.
Thank you.
You're a poet.
I really thought I was, but I'll take that. Thank you very much. It's a labor of love.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all. Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you about the use of rhyme, the pattern of rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the rhyme sets up a certain expectation for the listener that's positive.
Yes. What do you mean by positive?
Well, that you have a great line and the listener is following it and the completion of that rhyme, whether it's a couplet or A, B, B, A, I was watching.
Well,
to
you
see
mean,
what
you
the
mean
pattern
it,
is.
oh, I'm sorry.
So, but from everything you said, I get the sense that there's no rhyme or reason. It's,
But I'm,
your kind of method seems to be whatever works for the lyric, whatever completes the thought is good. I was
Well-
watching some of yours as sort of couplets, the classic A, B, B.
Yep.
Other times you had A, B, A, B.
Yep.
I've been listening to songs to try to figure out what rhyme pattern.
they're all different. That's called a rhyme scheme, and they're very different. And I remember at one songwriting get together, I played something, and they looked at me and goes, "What's your rhyme scheme here?" And I don't really know. It's kind of the first time I'd ever heard that term, and
So how important is it?
well, how important is it to rhyme?
Yeah, or to the use of rhyme as a device in songwriting.
Yeah,
How often do you rely on that?
I think fairly often, but not always. So I think if you have a line, so a line may go 16 beats. Next line may go 16 beats. If you're rhyming on that, let's say you're rhyming on that 14th beat or whatever, you've got a pattern, and if you play the additional lines to that same pattern, and you end on that same beat, and it doesn't rhyme, it might throw you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you end before that and let the song trail out, then it can work a little bit better. I'm not really sure how to say it, except it. You can hear it. I'm not sure if there's one song or another that might be better. Let's just go back to that song, and I'll just pull like one line out. Go back to So Close. Like all the dreamers who sail the seas, and all the lovers on bended knee, for the wish you want granted most, you come so far. That just doesn't sound, it doesn't sound. You've come so. I don't know. This may not be a good example. It's hard to, I'm not sure I can pull it out of a song here. But if you shorten the line, then you can get away. You might be able to get away easier without a rhyme, because it's not happening at the same.
So, for example, in that verse, let's say that C and me rhyme, sort of. You're taking a little license. So you
Was
have
that
A,
C's and knee?
well, C, knee, C's, knee, maybe not. Okay, so then you have A, B, C, D. Nothing rhymes in that verse, right? But
I'm sorry, where are you talking about here?
C's, knee, most, close.
Most and close are new rhymes.
They're close, yeah.
Close enough.
So you have A, B, C, C.
Yep.
Okay.
No, I don't. I have A, B, B. I mean, I don't really think about it that way, but I've got two rhymes here and two rhymes here.
I was first saying that C and knee, I was saying that those rhyme, and then I thought you said they don't.
No, they do rhyme. No, these two rhyme. I'm saying they do rhyme, even though one ends in an S.
Right.
And most and close, generally it's that vowel,
Sure.
that strong vowel is what you're gonna hear
Right.
more than anything. So I'm not sure what your
May I add something?
Yeah.
Is that you're actually just touching something I really like about your songs a lot. Imagine for a minute the opposite. So it uses a firm rhymes, no meter rhymes, and it was AABB. When songwriters make rhymes like that, the song inevitably develops a sing-songy quality.
Yeah.
That can feel childish.
yes.
Yeah.
And in Steve's songs, he uses these near rhymes. I'm not sure it's taking a license in a negative sense. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
The song has I believe it's called assonance to it, like mo and clo.
Mhm.
They rhyme because the vowel is the same, but it never sounds sing-songy. And it takes some of the potential sappiness out of the lyrics to avoid that AA.
That's a
Yeah.
great comment. That's
Well,
really
He does it a
good.
lot, maybe together he does it.
I could be guilty of that. I wrote this one and
Because when it's too perfect, it does sound sing-songy or,
yes,
yeah.
and I'm guilty of that with this one, and I work with, anybody know Ellis Paul? I work with him on songwriting, and he said, you gotta change this. Well, I'm trying to find a way to make you mine, and I want you to be happy all the time. I'd like for you to know you're always on my mind, and I'd love you till the end of time. And I've had to change that. Even though that's exactly what I want to say, I've got to now change it because it is too much of that. So, and here's actually, here's a song with no rhyme in the I don't think. It goes, slow down, ease up, don't be in such a rush. Oh, so there's a rhyme in the line. There's a rhyme in that line. Okay, so I could divide these into 8 lines instead of 4. You're right. Yeah, there are rhymes. Relax, free your mind. We still got lots of time. Be calm, take a pause. And if you wonder why, it's just because. So that just because is because I ended earlier and didn't extend out that line to the same extent. So I didn't have to rhyme. So relax, take a pause, and if you wonder why, there's the rhyme now, it's just because. So the rhyme scheme has changed somewhat, or it's a very rhyme scheme. So, you kind of know when you hear it without really, put math to it, all of that.
Yeah. That makes
I'm
sense.
kind of more organic than I am with this than actually technical. Yes, sir.
You seem to be obviously very introspective as you're developing the song. And as you get to the end and you say, I'm done, then you may or may not record it. But I have this feeling that somewhere along the way you say, oh, wait a minute, I could change this line and really make it much better.
Oh, yeah.
If you recorded it, can you do that or
Well,
are you stuck?
Oh, yeah, you can. Even if something's released on the air and on Spotify and on a CD, you can still change it. Yeah, not just me. I've talked to professionals who will say that too. It's we all live in regret. We're always regretting something. But no, it's an organic thing. It's intangible and it's organic. It's just gonna change as you want it to change. I mean, if you listen, we're talking about lyrics. You listen to a song's performance and, go see James Taylor rock out one of his old folky tunes, because he said, I'm ready to play this a new way, and he does, or anybody else that does that. There's so many different ways to play a song a different way. And that didn't come out right. There's so many different ways to play a song, and even by the same performer. So if you can change up the way you're playing the song, why can't you change the lyric? There's no rule, there's no lock-in, even though it's printed. So anyway, that's my feeling. I'm sticking to it. Somebody else may feel
I
different.
like to all the poets with weathered hands.
Poets with weather, no.
That's better than farmers.
Oh my gosh. Oh, but I've got this recorded.
Change.
Okay, you know how to get a hold of me. You let me know.
I'm a farmer's daughter.
Oh, not touching that.
With weather hands.
But all right. Thank you all very much. Thanks. And the next speaker here is in a few weeks,
Yes, February 7th.
and he is actually a neurosurgeon. So
Takes off types.
I'm just a little old songwriter. Thanks, everybody.
That's great, thank you.